Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing just a relaxed, chill pickups video. It's been a couple months and I tend to be kind of 3 to 5 months backed up on any new games I buy and when I actually bring them to the channel to share with all of you. Lots of new releases, some surprising pickups, but as I've teased in the thumbnail, we've also got a mystery box from GameStop. They recently had a sale for a lot of really kind of recently released games for 15 bucks new, and unfortunately, because I was a little bit late to getting to the sale to actually pick up or add any games to my cart, a number of those were already sold out. But when I kind of toggled it from new condition to used, it was $2 cheaper, so I got most of these games for about 13 bucks. But you always know it is a roll of the dice when you're ordering from GameStop and they're sending you used games in the mail. So today it will be a mystery of whether or not I actually got the original game case. There's no manuals to speak of in modern games, unfortunately, but I would not be surprised just based on how much like empty space is in here if they threw in a couple of sleeves with a loose disc. You just never know what you're going to get into. But definitely let me know in the comment section below, what have you been playing recently? What are you playing potentially right now as you're enjoying this video? And what have you picked up recently? I am enjoying a piping hot cup of coffee in my U2 War album mug here. Shout out to all the U2 fans out there. I promise I did not color coordinate with my Nirvana outfit and U2 mug, but I hope this video finds you well. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, we've broken the seal in the box right here. I've not taken a look inside. And it's also worth noting that there is one additional game that I was able to secure new that they shipped separately for some reason. It was actually NBA 2K25 with Kobe Bryant on the front cover. I just thought it'd be really cool to have Kobe on the front, and it's been a while since I've played a 2K game. I also figured my audience on YouTube is not very interested in hearing me talk about a sports game like that. So we left that one out, and it also hasn't arrived at my house yet, but the bulk of the games have. I think there's 5 games in here, so I'm just gonna actually kind of put my hand in and grab a case. And okay, the case is not in great condition. Neither is the cover art. There's actually some smudge, mystery smudge on the spine that oh my goodness. Well, GameStop is always going to GameStop in some form or fashion. But we got the case, so we can't complain too much. This is a game that I've been wanting to play for a long time. It's actually on Game Pass, and I'll just spoil it. All of the games in here are Xbox One, Xbox Series games. I've been actually doing a little bit of, not necessarily collecting, but some mindful purchasing of Xbox One Series X type games, just to kind of like play more third-party stuff that isn't always on PlayStation, because I was getting to a point where I was never really playing my Switch, and it certainly when it came to third-party stuff, I was just always playing it on PlayStation. And so mixing things up, first up we have Star Wars Squadrons. This game looked originally graphically just beautiful, and I got it for about 10 bucks. This was one that was less than 13. But yeah, beautiful graphically, first person dogfights in space. There's a story to this. It's not like an online multiplayer game, though there might actually be multiplayer functionality here, but always wanted to play Squadrons, and I kind of, coming away from the hype of Star Wars Day and Star Wars Celebration, I was playing a lot of Star Wars games. I recorded my ranking every Star Wars game video, and coming away from that, I'm like, okay, there are a number of Star Wars games I have yet to play, and Squadrons is kind of at the top of that list of ones that I want to try out soon. So got this for super cheap. Make sure the disc is in there. It is, and we even have a modern manual that is 1 page. At least I got a manual. Can't beat it. So, all right. So we're 1 for 1 here. Let's see if we can continue to get cases. All right. Feels like this is an Xbox case. Outstanding, and in really good condition because it probably has never been played. And because who is actually playing The Walking Dead Destinies by one of our favorite publishers or game developers, Game Mill Entertainment. I'm a huge fan of The Walking Dead, okay? I was there day one, season one, back in the day when it aired, and then like many people, I fell off during the Negan era, but then in the lead up to the most recently kind of released Rick and Michonne episodes, I literally binged every season starting back from season one in a matter of months and the lead up to that. So naturally, I was wanting to play something Walking Dead related. Outside of the Telltale Walking Dead games, there's not much to go off of, but I figured this looks terrible, this looks janky. I got it for 13 bucks. That was kind of the buying in price for me. We'll give it a shot. It's a shame I don't stream anymore because this would make for a fun stream, but hopefully I'll clip together some gameplay footage for you. You can see just how awful this game looks, but we're going to give it a shot because we're Walking Dead fans. Around here, next up, we have another Xbox case, all right? Oh, this is shameful. Well, we have a miss, okay? Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which it feels like if there's any game I was going to get the case for, it was going to be this. Given that it recently released, it's a very well-known, tons of printed copies. I might have to go to my local GameStop and see if I can do a bit of a swap to get the actual case for this. Let's make sure they at least have the correct disc in there, but no actual original case. So that's a bummer, but not a surprise. I actually played this originally on PS5 at launch, and I don't know if it was just time and place, the mood I was in, but I really just was not really into this game. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, a decent follow-up to Jedi Fallen Order, which was my 2019 Game of the Year. I am a huge, huge fan of that first game. Love Cal Kestis as a character, and kind of that surrounding cast, and more than anything, just the timing of when this series of games is set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. There's just such a significant gap between movies there, and there's so many stories they can tell, and I think they're doing a really good job with this trilogy so far. I just felt like the switch to this massive open world kind of took away from what I liked most about Jedi Fallen Order, which was kind of these more contained levels, planets, and environments that kind of was a really great marriage between a Metroidvania type game and Dark Souls combat. We got a little bit of away from that in Survivor with just how open levels and planets were. But again, it could have just been a time and place thing. That's why I want to replay this game. I traded my PS5 version in to get trade credit shortly after beating it a couple years back, just because it was a good opportunity to get trading credit. So looking forward to replaying it and see if my thoughts have changed. Now I'm pretty upset. We've got two more in here, and there's one in particular I'm going to be really... Actually, both of these I'll be really, really bummed if I don't have the actual case. And this is the one that probably out of all of these, I wanted to get the original case. And thankfully I did, and it's in outstanding condition. That is a game that flew under a lot of people's radar. I think this is going to become a well-documented hidden gem for the years to come. That is Banisher's Ghost of the New Eden from Don't Nod, so the folks that made the Life is Strange games. I've heard this is kind of has an emphasis on storytelling, as you might imagine, from the Life is Strange games, but also kind of more of an eerie, psychological horror type themes. I think there's a lot of supernatural elements and things like that, but it is still kind of very much a character action, melee combat focused type of game as well. So I don't know. I really, really liked what I saw from the trailers. And anything Don't Nod makes is definitely something that catches my eye. But when they kind of get away from the more almost point-and-click adventure type games and move into more of a kind of monster hunting, dark, eerie, supernatural type adventure, still very story-focused, that's my jam. And this is another one I got for 13 bucks. Very thankful that I got the complete case here, and we've got the disc as well. So Awesome stuff. Really looking forward to playing this. Let me know in the comment section below if you've played this one. All right, last but certainly not least, I didn't plan it this way. We have back-to-back kind of spooky horror adjacent type titles, although this last one is very much survival horror. A reboot of a series that dates back to the PS1. And I have to thank my friend Return to Mother Base here on YouTube. He talked about this in his video or on his channel, and I thought, yeah, I definitely want to give that a try, but probably not for more than 20 bucks. And it was either GameFly or something else that was going to draw me in, and I got this for 13 bucks. But did I get the complete case? And thank goodness I did. Alone in the Dark, 13 bucks. Really looking forward to playing this, probably over the spooky season. And David Harbour of Stranger Things fame, he actually voices, I think, the main character in this reboot. Oh wow, we have 2 discs. Very interesting. I wonder if it's that massive of a download? I can't imagine there's so much game that we have a Final Fantasy 13 situation on our hands where we have multiple discs. But Alone in the Dark, again, looking forward to playing this. I don't think it reviewed too terribly well, probably in the 6 to 7 range for most people. But again, I wasn't looking for the next Resident Evil. I was looking for more of a kind of underground, under the radar. Not perfect, definitely rough around the edges, but still fun to play during spooky season. So Alone in the Dark, let me know if you've played this one. Super thankful that we were 4 for 5, okay? A decent little stack of Xbox games here, and only one of them didn't have the original case. So not too bad, GameStop. Hopefully I can go to my nearest GameStop soon and swap the Jedi Survivor case to get the actual original case. Continuing along here, we have another stack of Xbox games. First up, we have something that was highly anticipated by longtime fans of this developer and series, and unfortunately, it was just a swing and a very, very big miss. That is Dragon Age: The Veilguard. I love this cover art, though, and while I'm not a longtime fan of Dragon Age, I have played quite a bit of Inquisition. I dabbled in Dragon Age 2 back in the day. It's just not a series, for whatever reason, that I've ever played or gotten into, though it's something that I've always wanted to because it's very much my style of game. And so I figured I'd give Veilguard a try because it was on sale for 25 bucks back in the fall. I got this from GameStop. Maybe it was earlier this year. I can't remember, to be honest with you. And I put about 10 hours into it, and everything you've probably heard at this point on the internet is true. I mean, this is just a shell of what Dragon Age used to be. And I remember watching SkillUp's review prior to purchasing it, and I thought, there's no way this game can be as bad as he's describing. And in particular, when you think of BioWare and you think about when they were really in their golden era with the Mass Effect 1 and 2, Dragon Age Origins, even Dragon Age 2 to a certain extent, and even Mass Effect 3 I'll kind of throw into that bucket. One of the things that made them stand out most as a developer was their writing and their storytelling and their world building. And unfortunately, all 3 of those things are either not well done in this game or they're just catastrophically bad. And I remember SkillUp described the writing as, it feels like anytime you're having a character interaction, you're making a dialogue selection, you're talking to someone else, it feels like the writing team must have had HR in the room because they are horrified, so scared of offending literally anyone.
We're still standing. The fight's not over.
You know, I like that about you, Lace. You don't stop fighting. You push for answers and action, while I can get stuck on questions forever.
Well, we need someone who can put the pieces of the puzzle together. We're fighting the unknown.
Exactly. Everyone has a part to play. Varric brought us together because of our strengths. He wanted a team he could rely on. We have to be that team.
Play to our strengths.
And rely on each other.
I think I can manage that.
Then let's find Solas's dagger. It'll be...
And it really does show. I mean, there were multiple moments. I tend to play as a good character, whether it's Fable, Mass Effect, or any other game that allows you to kind of be morally ambiguous or make those types of decisions that affect your character's outcome and how you're perceived. There were times where I intentionally would try to make a comment that would be perceived as rude, maybe passive-aggressive or negative, And somehow it was almost as if the text you saw on screen to select, it's as if there's some back-end game engine co-pilot model that is essentially taking that text and saying, hey, spin this to have positive intent. And that's actually how your character speaks in the words that come out of their mouth. Not what you see in the text wheel. It's modified or changed when you speak to almost sound more bubbly, more Disney-like. And again, it just is not Dragon Age. And this is coming from someone who, again, doesn't have a rich history playing these games or anything like that. But from the folks that I've spoken to and from the videos that I've watched, it, again, is nothing resembling Dragon Age on the writing side of things, which is a shame. It really just has this DreamWorks Shrek-like quality to it, both with the character models, animation style, but again, also the writing, which is a shame. And the one aspect of the game that I will say is actually pretty good is, as much as it does kind of resemble a DreamWorks production, graphically it does look really nice. I mean, beautiful environments. The environmental detail of the game, I think, is certainly a highlight. Beyond that, I feel like the combat, at least initially, first impressions, it felt a lot similar to something like the 2018 God of War game. And when I remember seeing trailers, I thought like, oh, that's definitely gonna be my kind of style. God of War type combat, but BioWare type storytelling and writing. And again, after about 5 hours, you realize that yes, it is kind of very heavy with its combat, good hit detection and things like that. But ultimately, the enemies, I don't care if it's a boss or it's just a regular goblin out in the wild, the amount of health that these enemies have, they're just sponges and not in a good way at all. And so I turned down the difficulty all the way to the bottom because I just kind of wanted to continue to progress the story and make it further and not sit in these like little zoned environments just mashing away at these enemies for seemingly forever. So again, when you kind of couple all those different things, poor writing, the combat is serviceable at best, the two things that maybe drew you in most to the Dragon Age games originally, because you have this party of characters, it's kind of tactical in nature, you're kind of ordering your team around to do different things, and it's very strategic in nature. There really isn't any of that to speak of either, because there's really no need to make use of your party and kind of go to that bird's eye view and make sure one person's healing, one person is absorbing the damage as the tank, and the other person's up close and personal, acting as a rogue. It just doesn't really feel really balanced in the way that those earlier Dragon Age games were. And so, for that and many other reasons, it is a game that dropped in price very significantly, deservedly so. And it's a game that I'd like to go back to, but if I do, it's going to be very much going through the motions. I have a podcast up and not really paying attention to the story because I don't think the story is worth really paying attention to. So, a far cry of what the series used to be, but I think that's more of a testament and statement of where BioWare is at nowadays versus just the Dragon Age series, which, again, is just a shame. Alright, we'll probably clip through these next couple of games relatively quickly, but first up, we have another purchase because of my good friend, Return to Mother Base, Marvel Midnight Suns. I got this for $10, brand new on Amazon. It is a tactical RPG with deck building mechanics, which you might as well tell me we're eating cat food for dinner. That is just not... Deck building mechanics in games tend to just not be my cup of tea. However, coming away from Final Fantasy XVI, I fell in love with Queen's Blood, and I told myself that any games that have deck building at the core of its gameplay, or even just kind of baked into the experience like Gwent from The Witcher 3, if I ever replay that, I'll give that more of a try than I did originally. But more than anything with Midnight Suns, I just love how they've kind of built or brought the entire kind of Marvel cast here. I mean, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Iron Man there, Blade, and so many others. I figured, even if I don't play this game to completion, I'd like to give it a try, and for $10, that was a pretty easy buying in price. I think this game is like 40 to 60 hours long, though, and I can't imagine I'll have the patience to stick with it for that long, but I'm very curious for others out there. Have you played Midnight Suns? Does anyone even remember that this game released? And if you do, and you've played it, what are your thoughts? I'd love to hear from you. Sticking with kind of the comic book theme, We've also got Gotham Knights, another game that I think just kind of came and went, did not review very well. An open world kind of action RPG, beat 'em up brawler type of game where you're playing as Robin, the Red Hood, Batgirl, and Nightwing, I believe. And Batman has died, and so these four kind of band together in an open world action beat 'em up brawler type of game where I think it's very Ubisoft in nature, where you just have plenty of side missions, kind of the core story to play through as well. And I actually played a couple of hours of this on Game Pass, and I really liked how each of the individual characters played. I mean, one is kind of more stealthy in nature, another one is kind of like get in your face, beat people up type of thing. Of course, the Red Hood is more of kind of a range distance person with his guns. So, I don't know. I liked what I played of it. It's definitely not going to win any Game of the Year awards, and that's why I think I got this game for $8 brand new on Amazon. But it is something I want to give more time, and I'm sure this is one of those games that I will actually love, because I love me a good open world game. Now, speaking of open worlds, and lastly on the Xbox side of things, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. A game I was very much anticipating last year, but just never got around to picking up. I loved my time with Dark Arisen, the remaster of the first game, and it's what I wanted Monster Hunter to be, truthfully. I've tried so many times to get into the Monster Hunter series, but my biggest complaint is kind of the rinse and repeat nature of just going out into the open world, fighting a monster, and coming back and crafting new gear. I wanted it to be a more organic experience where instead of constantly coming back to this hub world and crafting new gear, it's this more interactive, organic open world like a Witcher 3, like an Elder Scrolls type of experience. And that's just not what Monster Hunter is, but it's kind of partially what Dragon's Dogma is. And I think the second game is just more of that type of experience, going out into this massive open world, fighting monsters in a Monster Hunter style where you can scale the monsters, identify their weak points, exploit those, take them down, and then continue to progress through the world. And one of the other things that Dragon's Dogma is kind of most notably known for that I've really enjoyed is its pawn system, which is how you kind of customize your party or band of characters that you're going through this adventure with. At least in the first game, you could kind of create and customize at least one party member, and then you could go into kind of this rift or portal of sorts where you could recruit other pawns that other people in the world had created. And so you're going to want different types of styles, like a healer or a tank or a rogue, and build the best party of characters you can, kind of tailored around your own character and the pawn that you've created and customized. So if you know me and you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know I love my open world fantasy RPGs like Skyrim, The Witcher 3, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. Dragon's Dogma is kind of more of that, but again, has some really unique mechanics, and is also a game that pulls no punches. Like, this game is really, really challenging, and I remember from the first game, you couldn't even just fast travel to different cities at your leisure. You had to have a particular item that you had to go on this long quest to find in order to begin fast traveling between cities. And there are long treks between areas. So the point I'm trying to make is it's old school in its design, it's challenging, it is no walk in the park, and I think that's kind of part of its charm. So once again, looking forward to playing this hopefully sometime this year, but let me know if you've played Dragon's Dogma 2 and what you think about it below. Now, to round things out, a couple of PS5 games. First up, we have my 2023 Game of the Year. Finally got around to picking up a copy. That's Lies of P. I remember when it came out, I wasn't really excited about it, but I figured with it being on Game Pass, I'll give it a try, and I was instantly hooked. If you are a person that has been waiting for FromSoft to remaster or remake Bloodborne to be 60 frames per second and experience that game in all of its glory on PS5, wait no longer. Just pick up Lies of P, because while it might not reach the heights of something like Bloodborne, it plays very similarly. They unapologetically kind of borrow inspiration from kind of that gothic horror aesthetic and vibe, but instead it's a very bizarre retelling and capturing of Pinocchio and that character. And one of the things I loved most about Lies of P, especially coming off the heels of Elden Ring, I'm of the opinion, as good a game as Elden Ring is and was, it's almost too big for its own good, okay? And I was getting lost at times. I was phoning up my brother-in-law and saying, where the heck am I supposed to go? Because it was just too dang big. I've still yet to roll credits on Elden Ring, something I need to do at some point. But Lies of P is not that. It is a much more contained, linear experience, though there are opportunities to kind of go off the beaten path, discover secrets, find collectibles and new weapons. It is a chapter-based game that once you complete a chapter, you move on to the next, and just the environmental design is just really unique, and I think they continued to surprise over the course of the game, taking you to a variety of very different, dark, weird environments, and I was just so often surprised as I made my way through this game. I will also say that this is not for the faint of heart. If you are new to the Souls-like genre, this is probably not the best place to start, although there are ways to cheese boss battles. You can buy these items like lanterns and throwables that you can defeat a lot of bosses in a cheese-like fashion. And that's not really the way the game is intended to be played, but if you're getting stumped by a boss, you can load up on a bunch of throwables and kind of make your way and continue to progress through the game. But Lies of P, one of my absolute favorites in recent years, and I think of all of the Souls-likes that are not developed by FromSoft, I think this is undoubtedly the best of them all. And I cannot wait to play the DLC here shortly, and I'd love to see if this developer makes a sequel, because my gosh, if you were there in the end credits and you saw the secret scene that teased the next game and where they're going, if you thought it was weird that it was based on Pinocchio and Lies of P, just wait until you see where they go next with Lies of P 2. Cannot wait. Next up, we have a physical copy of my most anticipated game coming into this year. That is Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It took a while for my copy to arrive, and so I started playing on Game Pass. I will play to completion on Game Pass, and then similar to Lies of P, I'll probably revisit the game in a couple years. I may even end up earning the Platinum Trophy because I'm enjoying this game so much. I have no doubt this will be in contention for Game of the Year come December because it really is that good. It's mind-boggling how this team, some ex-Ubisoft developers, created their own studio, and of all the games and genres of games they could have created, they figured, you know what? Let's make a turn-based RPG in the year 2025, but let's build in some Souls-like mechanics. It works exceptionally well. A fascinating concept and story. I mean, I'm only about 5 to 6 hours into this game, but how they've kind of teed up this idea where you have this paintress, without spoiling too much here, okay, I'm framing up like the first 30 minutes of the game. You have this paintress, this woman who essentially is counting down this massive clock, and with each passing year, the clock is continuing to go down from, let's just say 100 to 99 to 98, all the way now at 33. And so anyone above that age disappears and dies forever. And so this band of people, this team, is going out on this expedition to try and find the paintress, to kill her, to stop this horrible thing from happening where with each passing year, that clock continues to tick down and everyone at that age or above ends up passing away. Phenomenal music. I mean, just the level design is just out of this world. I was just in this sequence. The only way I'll describe it is underwater. Blew my freaking mind. I mean, I'm just so surprised so frequently while playing this game, whether it's the music, them introducing a new mechanic into its combat system, the voice acting, everything about this game is just outstanding. And I'm also really thankful that when Bethesda decided to shadow drop Oblivion Remastered the same week that this game released, it didn't stop this game from flying off the shelves. At the time of this recording, they've sold over 3 million copies, so I have to imagine it's already a financial success for this team. And hopefully it means that we're either going to get more games in this series, if it ends up becoming that, or Sandfall Interactive ends up making more games like it, because so far It has exceeded all of my wildest expectations, and I'm only 5 hours in. I cannot wait to see what happens next in Clair Obscur. So if you're playing it, let me know what you think down below. But I think this is going to go down as one of the best RPGs of this decade. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving my time with it so far. And then last but certainly not least, we have a little mini premium edition, Ys Memoir, Oath and Felghana. I absolutely adored my time with this game when I played it on the PSP. I've since parted ways with all of my PSP premium editions. It actually funded most of the stuff in this game room, including the TV and a lot of the shelving units and stuff like that. Because I figured if I ever wanted to play Ys, Oath and Felghana again, I could pick it up on Steam. But lo and behold, they created another remaster for current gen consoles, and so I was able to pick this up on sale for $30, which is pretty great. And just a terrific kind of top-down action RPG. The Ys series is known for its phenomenal music, and Oath and Felghana is no exception. Actually, in the beginning and end of my videos, I have oftentimes played a lot of the Ys soundtrack. And thanks to Johnny Millennium, Happy Console Gamer, because if it wasn't for him, I know I would have never discovered this series, and I think hundreds, if not thousands of others would have also never discovered this series. So very much looking forward to replaying this game, hopefully sometime soon. All right, everyone, that is everything that I've picked up over the past couple months. Let me know down below what you've picked up recently, what you're currently playing. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments section below. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.